The Real Talk Corner. We back. We in the building. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fighting my way through the darkness where the wicked don't rest. Conscious aware, truth I dare, shield tied to my chest. My tenacity can put these motherfuckers to the test. High priestess of fire, alchemistic desire. I say manifest and shit, even when I am tired. You can call me amazing, by the bricks I be laying, but you'll never call me lazy, cause my vice are devastating. In the league of my own, spitting real talk energy. I know a little something about a thing called synergy. This is so ready, throw a sun and masses awaken me. Listen up, cause we about to set your mind, body, and soul free.
All right, so welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk Corner. Today I have a special guest, Dr. Robb Kelly, and I will let him tell you what he does before we get into our theme of today.
Hi guys, my name is Dr. Robb Kelly. I specialize in addiction, childhood trauma, depression, PTSD, alcoholism. Been doing this for about 30 years. We have 5 offices around the world. We did a lot of TV. We have books out there. We worked with about 8,500 people over the last 20 years in America, maybe 30 years back home in England. And I'm here to help. And I'm here to give advice today. I'm not here to sell anything, guys. So don't be looking me up for sessions. I'm very expensive and very sought after. But we do a pro bono thing, but there's a waiting list. But yeah, welcome.
Awesome. I wanted to get into, because of course, some of the terms people know: mental health, alcoholism, trauma, things like that. But some of the things that people might not realize what you do is somatic healing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So kind of open up for our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, we do a couple of things that are different. So we cannot take out the body. We're neuroscientists, really. We cannot take away the body. The body will tell us weeks before that there's something wrong with you automatically. So somatic experience is a therapy that really teaches you to listen to the body. Let's say, for instance, the gut feeling. Most people think the gut feeling is a myth or doesn't really exist. Well, the gut feeling goes back to the tribal days, when one of the tribesmen would get this gut feeling that something was wrong, and 99.9% of the time they were right. But over the generations, 2 things have happened. First of all, we don't really acknowledge the gut feeling. And secondly, because of the diet and the food that we eat today, which is saturated in cornstarch and the rancid oils, dopamine and serotonin are created in the gut. So it doesn't work properly. So low serotonin, low dopamine, and low feeling of gut feeling.
I absolutely love that this is on. Well, I was on your website. So I love that this was on there, because this is something that I talk about a lot. And I don't think that people understand that our body is not just our body. It's not just this empty shell that we're putting on like clothes. It's a part of us. It's a living organism. It's going to speak to us in the way that you're saying. And I love that that's on there, because it's so important to get back in there and feel what's happening, right?
100%. We do somatic experience, 9D breath work, and trauma therapy, and brain spotting. They're kind of the 3 major neuroscience tools that we use on a daily basis. Because, I suffered badly from alcoholism. I like drugs as well. And I got wiped out, lost my kids, wife. I became homeless at the age of 26. I became homeless and everything was lost. Nobody would speak to me. But the problem with me, Adriana, is this: that nobody could help me. Nobody had an answer. No one knows what's fucking going on. And I was annoyed at that they kept saying, go to AA or, go into treatment, and treatment centers are crap. Well, most of them are. Obviously, we have some brilliant ones out there. But I was asking the question all the time, what's really going on? So the studies we've done, we found out some breaking neuroscience findings of why we an alcoholic and addict and why we're depressed, and how we can tie childhood trauma is the gateway drug, how we can tie that into addiction and depression and PTSD. And I just kept digging and digging and digging, and what we found was just crazy. And then again, the body it's so important. It's like, let's say alcoholism, for instance. The body and the brain will never come to you on a Friday night and go, "Hey, Rob, let's have a drink tonight." It doesn't do that. It's a week before. Or with the body and central nervous system, it's 2 weeks before. And if you can track that, feel what the sensations, track the mental obsession way before it starts, then you can stop the action. And everyone thinks this is like, it's really hard. It's not hard. Or it's a fight it's not a fight. If you're fighting to stay sober, or if you're depressed every day, you're doing something wrong. Period.
Right.
And that's the stuff I bring to people is get out the old thinking.
Right.
Step
I
into the new
actually,
science.
both my parents were alcoholics. My dad, he was a heroin addict and an alcoholic. So I grew up in that lifestyle. And then of course I was a functioning alcoholic for a lot of my life. So I understand that. But what you're saying is, I say this too, it's so true that you have to figure out why. What is the why that you pick this up? Why are you doing it? What's the inner things, and if you could get to that, you could figure that out. And I don't drink anymore. So I'm someone who's been sober a few years now, where I don't crave it. I don't need it. If I'm out, I don't have to buy, if I'm with someone, I don't need a drink if they're drinking. But it was sitting and really going into that part of, why do I feel the need for it? Why do I feel like I need to have it? Right. And there's so many different levels. Sometimes it's not even trauma. Sometimes it's social, just being social and thinking you have to have like another cup, right? Gotta have a cup in my hand.
It's not accepted not to drink. It's getting better these days. But
Right.
it's like, when you go into a bar with friends and you go, "Hey, do you want to drink?" "No, I don't drink." You don't drink. Why? There's always a why after you don't drink. Well,
Right.
we don't do it in social circles. What, you don't want cheese on your hamburger? Why? Nobody asked that. Nobody asked that. But every time you go, it's like, why don't you drink? And it's crazy. Where I grew up on the projects back in England called the council estates. And if
Mm,
you didn't drink after work with the boys, you were an outcast. So
right.
drinking was a big part of working class, lower working class
Yep.
life. So you kind of grew up on it. I took my first drink at the age of 9. And when I took that drink, all bets were off. Right there and then, my whole life changed. And I ask people today, "When did you have your first drink?" 10. "What was it like?" "Oh, it was horrible. I spat it out." Now, alcoholics, man, alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made. Now, alcoholics, the first drink was like, "Oh my God, I found something."
Right. It's crazy how like normally you can trace back and you go, wow, I was pretty young drinking. I was pretty young when I first did this. And then it is the lifestyle. I'll agree with you because I come from a poor background. And so that, Friday night comes, we're going out. Or if it's a certain time, we're going out and we're going to go drink. And that's like the let's get away from our life kind of
Yeah, yeah,
mindset, right? Let's get
yeah.
away from our poor life and let's go have fun for a minute. But I did like that I wanted to talk about the breath work because I do believe in it. And I do believe once you start to really tackle in that, you can open up some things for yourself. So a lot of people don't know about breath work though.
Yeah. So what we found, we've got the normal, the Wayne Hobb, I think his name is, breath work, and it's awesome. But this is what we found. So during the normal circadian sleep pattern, between the hours of 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning is when the most repair happens. It's when your body is, it's also in the time when most people die of natural causes because the oxygen is really low. It's one of the reasons nobody's woke up laughing. There's no oxygen there. So when we get up in the morning where there's a lack of oxygen, hence the saying, the presence of oxygen equals a lack of disease. Every disease grows in a hypoxic area. Cancer grows, heart problems, all grow in a hypoxic area. But the subconscious brain wakes us up because when there's lack of oxygen, subconscious brain, it comes to the front of the mind, and the conscious brain is back here somewhere. Have you ever noticed when you freak out or you're nervous, you're not breathing properly. Panic attacks. There's no oxygen going in. So we wanted to kill the subconscious brain, and from the minute you get up, kill the subconscious, ignite the conscious. And what we found is 20 exaggerated breaths in, like really exaggerated. 20 times first thing in the morning kills the subconscious brain. And what happens is this. The conscious brain is running. This guy here can do anything it wants to do, anything it wants, and be successful at it. But have a guess who wakes me up tomorrow morning? This guy. So if the mind, which is true, sits inside the brain, hence the saying mind over matter, the brain is matter. If we can program this conscious mind daily, then we can literally achieve anything we want to achieve. Now, when I said this to people like 10, 20 years ago, they said, that's not possible. I can't be anybody. And this is what they used to say to me. Well, I can't be president of the United States. Forget your political views for a second. We had a freaking businessman running the country with no political. How dare you tell me that you can't achieve your dreams? It's just not true. Somebody's put that there.
Right. We put these limiting beliefs on ourselves, but that's the mind. And I love that you have it. I love that you have the mind, the neuroscience behind it, because I feel like the two go hand in hand. If you can get a hold of the mind, you can change your life, your reality, all of those things. I'm kind of someone who's tested a lot of these things, and my life has changed dramatically in the last 6 years. So I believe in it. But what's the 9D breath work specifically?
So 9D is something that's pretty new to the neuroscience industry, and that is it's a 9D subliminal message with breath work and a direct voice with music in the background. So you're getting subliminal messages from 9 directions, headphones, and you've got blackouts on, and you just lay down, and it takes you on this journey, and it ignites the conscious brain. It also deals with the trauma. There's 22 programs, and one of them is trauma and childhood work. So it takes you back and walks you through your own trauma, and then breath work, and then taking you out and bringing you through. It's absolutely mind-blowing. We've only had it about 2 months. And during that 2 months, we had about 10 patients go through it. Every single one of them patients changed dramatically after the 1-hour session. So it's kind of new. We love it. We absolutely love it because we've seen the positive turnaround. I mean, we've had like 4 businessmen in the companies were going downhill, and within weeks, something happened, and now they're in the black and not the red. There's just so many stories in such a short time around it that I think everybody should try the 9D therapy breathwork. Everybody, because it will change your mind.
Wow. Sounds good. So what made you, I know that you went through where you were alcoholic, you lost everything. What was that turning point for you that said, I want to help others? Because we can get clean and we can just go live our life, but I feel like there's always a story behind why you choose to give back and help.
For me, it's I tried to commit suicide 7 times when I was homeless, and on 2 occasions it worked, and I was dead, and they brought me back to life. So when everyone says, "Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Why'd you take chances?" I died twice on the streets in Manchester. That's the only answer you're going to get. Why the fuck wouldn't I go and do everything I want to do? But there was a huge spiritual awakening Sunday night, Monday morning, about 2 a.m. One of the back streets of Manchester. There's offices and factories only, not a human being in sight. There's no houses there. And I dropped down to my hands and knees, and it was pouring down with rain. And I was crying from the belly. Now, here's the crazy part. I wasn't crying because I'd lost everything, my wife, kids, houses, cars. I wasn't crying because of that. I was crying, sobbing from the stomach because I realized I couldn't stop drinking. I looked up to the sky pouring down with rain, and this is what I was not a God person, man. I'm telling you now, my priest molested me on many, many occasions. I looked up to the sky and I was done. And I just looked up and said, if there is a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. And 30 seconds later, a guy walked around the corner. His name was Derek. He'd missed his last bus home from a Bible study, and he'd walked home for an hour. He took a shortcut he'd never took before, and he came upon me. So he said to me, do you want to come back to the house? And I'm like, oh, nothing happens good at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
But I was so desperate. I went home. He said, Chris, let me bathe and change for the first time in a year. And he said to me, he said, hey, you could stay here for as long as you like, but you've got to come to these AA meetings with me. I'm in recovery. And I said, I don't like the AA meetings. So off I went. And this is where it gets weird. So I'm in this meeting, and sure enough, the piss and moaning starts. I'm having a bad day. I'm celebrating 20 years, and my life is terrible. All that shit you hear. One guy said, my name's John, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And I was absolutely aghast at what this guy was saying. So after the meeting, I walked up. I said, hey, John, my name's Rob. Will you sponsor me? And he said, no, but I will be your spiritual advisor for 12 weeks. I walked round to that man's house 12 Wednesdays, an hour there, an hour with him, an hour back. The only stipulation is I could not knock on the door before 7 o'clock, before 7 p.m. If I was downstairs, I'd have to wait. Went upstairs, no matter what we were doing, at 1 minute to 8, he'd get up. Through a conversation, okay, it's time to go. And he'd walk me out, and that was it. And he taught me stuff, and I recovered, and things started happening. And the very next day, my last Wednesday with him, he said, things will change from tomorrow. And I said, that's impossible. I live in this basement with a blow-up mattress with this guy. Nobody knows I'm there. The very next day, Adriana, Derek come home at lunchtime when I was cleaning the house, and he said, the guy that sweeps the factory floor has just resigned. Do you want his part-time job? I said, yes. Later turned into a full-time job, not even thinking of John. Several weeks later, I got my first pay packet. I went to the gas station. I bought John a little teddy bear, that's all I could afford, and a card. I said, thank you, John, for introducing me to God. He took the compulsion drink away. And I went back to his house, and there was nobody there. So I was knocking, and the right-hand neighbor came out, and she said, can I help you? I said, yeah, where's John? Where's John moved to? He said, John. I said, yeah, your neighbor. She said, I've only been here 3 months. There's been no one in that apartment that I know of. I'm sorry, I can't help you. So I went to the left hand, I banged on his door. A big guy come to the door. What do you want? So where's John moved to? What? John who? I said, I thought this was a joke. I said, John, your next door fucking neighbor, what's wrong with you guys? And he went on to tell me that apartment was derelict. And if you walked in it, you would fall down to the floor below. I thought these guys were crazy. So I went back to the meeting that I met John at like 3-4 months ago. And I went in, and this guy said, Rob. I said, oh my God, you recognize me. Thank goodness for that. Does John still come here? And he said, John who? I said, John, I was talking to the coffee machine. I was over there talking to him. And he said, Rob, you were over there talking to yourself. Never found that man. And I put the best, when I got wealthy, I put the best detective agency money could buy in Manchester. Nobody could trace it. So from that moment onwards, I was born to help others. That's what I do. Take away the money, take away all the toys I have, the houses, cars, take away all of that. My fundamental basic instinct is to help people. I bless somebody monetary whenever I leave the house because I can. Every day I do it. And I just love seeing people get well in families. If a patient comes on and his wife and 19-year-old daughter won't come on, we won't take the patient. Because what we found is when the family join the husband, and I don't mean going there bashing him or used to nothing to do with him, your trauma, wifey, the success rate of the patient goes up by 42%.
Wow. And it would make sense because support is huge when you're trying, and it's hard because most of the time as an alcoholic or a drug addict, you normally burn a lot of bridges before you start to go get help, and that support dwindles a lot, right? You also have a podcast.
I do. We put it on hiatus for until January. I just got too busy. We deal with it, or I deal. I have a staff, that therapists and stuff like that that see patients. I deal with the movie stars and the A-list musicians, and they just have a lot of my time. So we decided to put it on. But yeah, the podcast was amazing. We had some great people on there. But hopefully January we're going to launch it and have a great time with it.
Right, right. I definitely will have those links in there. I think it's phenomenal. I think when we go through these, some people might think horrifying experiences, right? We go through these experiences, but when you can come out on the other side and then you can take that and run, I do believe that in the power of telling your story And I believe, you know, because people always can get there and relate and go, I'm not alone. For some reason, I don't know why we think we're always alone. We're the only one going through what we're going through. We're the only one feeling what we're feeling. And there's hundreds of people feeling the same thing. So understanding that we're not alone, and there's definitely people out there that want to help and can help, I think it makes a big difference.
It does, everyone can recover. Unless you have serious brain damage, everyone can recover. Everything you're going through right now, guys, is temporary. You'll realize that when I look back at my homeless, I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she wouldn't let me finish drinking. That's where I was in that state, you know. And you go back to my homelessness, the losing of the children and all that stuff, ages 1 and 3, and I look at it now like a semester at Harvard University. The knowledge I got going through that and the street and losing the kids is absolutely priceless. You can't, if you haven't been through addiction, you can't help anybody with addiction. I'm sorry, you just can't. I've been to college for 4 months. I don't give a shit where you've been. If you don't understand that if you have a bottle of vodka and I want it, I will stab you in the face repeatedly until I get that bottle. Do you understand that? Most people freak out. I went to see a therapist, they freaked out. I saw this 70-year-old, I don't know how she was, ex-hippie, and I said, if I stab you in the face, you know what she said to me? I'd stab you in the face quicker. There's my girl, because she'd been through
Right.
all the shit I've been through, because we think differently than normal people. We don't
Yeah.
necessarily think. And one of the reasons behind this, if we get back to the neuroscience, is this. The hypothalamus, basal ganglia, and the amygdala differ from any other human being. Okay? So the hypothalamus is when it gets really technical and sciencey, but it's mind blowing. So the hypothalamus tells newborn babies the internal survival instinct is to eat food and drink water. That's it. That's what we got to do. We do it without thinking. During the alcoholic's career of drinking, the hypothalamus, for whatever reason, and we don't know why, turns around and tells the prefrontal cortex to drink alcohol only. So when the survival part of the brain is telling you to drink alcohol, that's why we can go days or weeks without food or water. Must be before our kids, before our wife. When the survival part is telling the prefrontal cortex, that's why it's a disease, because you have no control once you clear over that midline of drinking alcoholically and then the hypothalamus change. You have no. This is not a choice. So there's a predisposition with alcoholics. You can trace it back 3 generations. We're allergic to the ethanol in alcohol. There is the alcoholic gene that skips it. We skips a few generations sometimes, but we're allergic. And as soon as you take the first drink, what you call the mental obsession, but I call the prefrontal cortex recall, sets you off. Now, drug addicts, how do we know that drug addicts differ? Well, drug addicts are made. 90% of people that come to us started in the doctor's office of heroin addicts. So we have the addictive personality. Both show up the same. It's just that technical difference that was found years ago. But yeah, what we found though, Adrian, is when we stop the alcohol, when we clear the trauma, when we stop the drugs, when we get our shit together, okay, then we are geniuses. I created $100 million company in the last 14 years.
Mm.
Okay. Because I married a second wife and all of a sudden that didn't work out. So I left everything completely in Dallas, Texas, and I started again. So that's kind of 3 times that I've lost everything and started again. So it's possible, man. It really is possible. I don't care where you are right now. It's 100% possible that you can and will recover if you either get to the right group, church, AA, whatever it is, get into what the body's all about, and you can recover, man, and be a genius.
I love that. You have this quote well, I don't know if I feel like it's your quote where you say on your website, it says, if you're not changing your world, what are you doing? And I love that because it's like your world, because that I always believe our greater change will be changing ourselves first, right? Put in the work of ourselves, and that is like a ripple effect out into the world. And we do not see it in that way. Like most people don't see it in that fashion. So I love that. What made that come up?
Well, the definition of insanity in the science world is me not being able to see my own truth.
Mm.
That's it. Okay. So when we look at, I have to have self-worth to help another person. I have to be a leader and lead by example. So heal oneself with help from around you, and you'll go on naturally to heal others. And so we can change the world in 3 words. 3 words. I want you to do this, guys, next time you're out. If you're in a populated area, sneakers are always the best, man. Someone walking up to you, nice sneakers. Nice sneakers, man. Nice sneakers, go. 3 words. I go, oh, thank you, man. As you walk past you, turn around and watch them. They're going to look down at the sneakers at least 2 to 3 times. And then you get home, he's in a good mood. So now the wife's in a good mood. And then the mother-in-law calls, and you just change at least 20 people's lives and you don't even know it. So the power of words becomes essential. So what we hear from the outside, there's a 1% belief that it's true, because when we're babies, remember when mom said, don't put your hand on the stove, it'll burn you. We put our hand on the stove and it burns us. The message is a baby, because babies are born with two fears, fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. The rest are taught or man-made. So we put our hand, it burns. We grow up thinking that whatever mom says or people say to us is true. So when we grow up, realize it's not, there's still that 1% there that believes it's true. So when somebody in your circle says something like, oh, you think you can start that business? You can't start that business. I'm joking. That guy's got to go, because we are the 9 people around us. You know, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Right.
You hang around 9 depressed people, you will become the 10th. So behavior is very, very important. So we stuck 1,000 fleas in a huge mason jar. We poked holes in the top and we left it for 3 days. Now, fleas can jump 2 or 3 feet in the air. We took the cap off after 3 days, not one flea in that jar that would jump higher than where the cap was. Okay, which is interesting. But what was more interesting is when they had babies in that jar, the babies won't jump higher than where the lid was, and they've never even seen the lid. So that tells us that the people around us will limit our beliefs and will limit. Stop putting the bricks in your imagination. The imagination and your dreams are things that are supposed to be real, but you're fucking around or not doing the work and stuff like that. So I have people around me. I have 3 people in my inner circle. That's it. If you have more than 5 people, someone's out to get you. And it's not being paranoid, it just is. Every single person we've worked with, almost 8,500 people, and millions of people that I've met and spoke to. There's always one person in that immediate family or friends around you that want you to fail. And it's not their fault. See, there's 2 kinds of people in this world, guys. The guys that love you for who you are, and the guys that want to be you. Oh, they don't want to be me. Oh shit, they do.
Yes.
Yeah, doing something. Yeah. And the idea is to know your worth before it's too late. So I never wanted to get to 80 years old and go, I was pretty good back then. Fuck that. I never want to do that. I want to know today, how good I am today. So when my mum and dad died, me and a friend and my sister went over to clear the house back to England. And my friend found this photograph. And it was me and him, bodybuilding days, when we were about, I don't know, 17, 18. And we looked amazing, blonde hair, tanned, waist like this, big shoulders and stuff. And my friend said to me, oh my God, look at this, Rob. God, those were the days. And I said to him, yeah, but we didn't know those were the days back then.
Right.
What if today's one of those days? And that sentence alone changed my whole prospect on life. He said, you have to know your worth, take no shit off anybody. Therapists and doctors call me all the time because we're so successful. Dr. Rob, I'm thinking, I've just started to practice, how much should I charge an hour? My answer is this: how much are you worth? Oh, well, stop that shit. Do you know what I'm worth? I charge $1,800 an hour because that's my worth. What is your worth? Oh my God, well, 350, is that your worth to start? Yeah, that's it. There's your answer. Stop following the herd. Well, she charges $70. She ain't got the fucking experience you have.
Right.
She hasn't been through all that shit that you had. You want to give that shit away? Who's paying the mortgage? Who's paying all this stuff? And then let the money go. Don't concentrate on the money. Let it go. But I've never seen my bank account. I don't have nothing to do with money. That's my wife's job. Me is healing and focuses on keeping my feet on the ground. But I know my worth today. I know who I am today. And I have, Adriana, I have this, what very few people have. I have enough.
That's a huge one. That's a huge one because so many people are running around in scarcity mode.
Yeah. If I just get $100 in the bank, if I get 1,000, if I get 1 million, if I get 2 million, then all of a sudden you're 60 years old and you're freaking dying. Yeah,
Right.
my wife's parents did it. They kept saving to go on vacation, go on a world tour, save, save, save. They did the stock market, save, 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 save. And then 2 days after they retired, mum got Alzheimer's, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and 6 months later, my father-in-law died. Now they were working class people, you know. They had $1.9 million in the freaking. Really? Do it today. You ain't got time. You think you have to, you don't have time. Okay,
No.
you got to do it today. Buy that house, get that job, start that empire. Don't start a business. Anything can have a business. Got a website and a business card. Big fucking deal. Start an empire. Have the empire mind that you're going to be the best. Ask me who's the best in the world. What I do. Me. It's actually on my business card. The best addictionologist in the world. And the world can't prove me wrong. You can't. We're the only company in the world that offer a money back guarantee if you relapse.
Right.
Does anybody else do that? Yeah, I didn't think so. You know, like be the best person because life is too short, man.
Right. I love what you're saying right there, because you do have to be your first and only cheerleader in everything that you do. You gotta believe in yourself and what you are. And I love that about just knowing your worth, what you bring to the table. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think everyone listening, I feel like they're gonna feel it. I think you're very inspiring what you do, and you're a testament that you can change your life and you can do it. You don't have to wait until you're old and dying.
I'm 63 years old. Okay, I've just lost 157 pounds over the last 2 years because I pulled off TV because I was putting too much weight on. But one day, about 18 months ago, I said, you know something? I want to be the best 62-year-old man around. I want to be the fittest. I want to be the smartest, the clear thinking. So I said about that. Anything is achievable, man, when you know who you are. Most people lost their identity. Like when we always find this, when a man and woman split, it's the woman that's lost their identity because it's his team, it's his programs, it's his, you know. So when a woman comes out, they've got no identity. They don't know who they are. You
Mhm.
know, they just stay in relationships way too long than we should do. We put up with way too much shit than we should do. So when you come out, this is a brand new world for you. You can achieve anything you want to do. But you know who's brainwashed us? The husband, for instance. I'm not saying it always is. Well, you'll never get anybody like me. Oh, they won't have you with 3 kids. Fuck off. What do you know, dickhead? You know, you're going to move on to do some amazing things, but, you know, it's terrible what people go through, but you've got to be the best you. And he can't make you happy, and you can't make him happy.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's a freaking inside job. I don't care if you've got no money right now and you're sat in a one-bedroom apartment with 3 kids. It's fucking temporary. It's temporary. Because someday when you get through this and then you start earning and the kids are doing great, somebody's going to come to you and go, hey, Jenny, what do you know about being poor and having 3 kids? Sit down, let me talk to you. Check. What do you check, 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 check? If you haven't got all them boxes checked, how the hell can you help somebody? You can't help anybody. So this is just think of this, guys, and you're going to hate me for this right now. You're at Harvard University for a semester, is what you're going through, because the knowledge you'll get will be mind blowing. So don't think this is your lot. That's not true. I've proven it time and time again. My patients have proven it. You know, the only crime being committed here is you pissing and moaning and messing around while people are dying on the streets waiting for you to get your shit together. So it's not about us. Once we get well, it's not about us. It's not about me. You know, because I know for a fact this: when I get to heaven, right? Because I believe there's heaven and a God. When I get to heaven, do you know what God's not going to ask me, guys? Hey, how much was that house you lived in? How much was that car? That car looks. How much is that? What? He's going to ask me one thing: how many people did you help?
Right. 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 And that you wanted to help them. It came from a genuine place. I like what you said about having the experience to help, because I believe that when I was younger, I went through some therapy and I stopped therapy because I was like, this lady doesn't know shit. She doesn't know a damn thing about what I've been through and what I've gone through. And so when I came into just being someone who wanted to take on healing and be there for other people, probably why I'm a psych major now, because I believe in both of them. Um, I felt like the experience of realizing that I have been through a lot of shit, right? And that I was able to better empathize with the person in front of me versus just oh yeah, you've been through that. Yeah, go, say this prayer and you're okay. Versus understanding what it truly is to be homeless, or what it truly is to struggle with that addiction, or lying to yourself that you even have an addiction, right? And you can have many addictions, so it's not just alcoholism or drugs, right? You could be addicted to many things. Sex, you could be addicted to social media is an addiction. You can be on there 24 million hours of your day. um, so I like what you said about that, of having that experience. And I don't think there's a lot out there. I think maybe it's changing, but I do think there's not enough people who truly can get it, truly can say that they get the path, and then truly can give you that, no, I know, I've been there kind of
Yeah.
talk,
It's vital, man, that you find someone who's been through it. If you're looking for a therapist or psychologist or anything,
Mm.
it's vital. Because listen, guys, this is your life we're talking about. So if you're sat somebody that's spent 20 years at college to get a freaking PhD in addiction, and you expect them to help you, you're going to die. I'm sorry, but you're going to die, because they don't know what they're talking about. And like, again, great doctors, great therapists, I know, but I'm just saying, in my experience, you have to have gone through it. Otherwise, how do you know the way out if you've not been through it? It's like being, I don't know, like being dropped off in China somewhere, and you're in a car, you don't know where you are, and you ask somebody where Smith Street is, and the guy said, well, I think it's down here. I've never been before, but
Right.
if you go down there, you know, you ain't gonna fucking get there. But I'd pull up another guy. Oh yeah, I've been there. I know exactly where it is. If you turn left, first, right, first, I'm going to get there. You see, it's the same thing with people trying to help people. It's like you have to have been there. And the universities and the knowledge and the schools, great. It's great, man. But it's about 2% of what I do today. It really is. I saw I've done loads of conferences. So I saw a conference I was doing in Canada, and the headline was this, Adriana. The controversial doctor from Texas is the headline. I'm like, ain't fucking controversial. I'm just going to tell it how it is. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. But I'm sick to death of watching people die of lack of knowledge. You know, I do not hear that. You keep going, oh, really?
Right.
Oh, man,
It's
come on.
great to get controversial. And it's just like, no, this is the reality. This is like the reality of life.
All my friends were laughing, like, controversial doctor from tech. Fuck you.
Right. Like you're going against the grain. It's like more people should understand this. I
Yeah.
do. I'm not down in the medical profession. I was in healthcare for over 10 years, and I left because it's the sick care model. It's the not really helping people, unfortunately. And they're taught that way. So I'm not really putting doctors down. They're taught that way, and they don't know better, but I believe in the people who have been there, been in the trenches. So I agree with that, what you're saying. I feel like that is where you really can make a change, when you've been there and change your life, and then go back out there and put your foot out there. So anything that we've missed that you want to tell our listeners and viewers before we wrap it up?
It's this, guys, okay? You have to believe. Okay, we get a lot of things from enmeshment, childhood trauma, and learned behavior. We really take a lot from that as we grow up. So everybody has an addiction, period. Whatever that addiction is, if it's doing you wrong or right or whatever, and your life's a mess and you're sick of living the way you are, and you want to get off the projects or whatever it is, you can do it. You can 100% do it. And you have to start believing. Surround yourself with the guys that you want to be like. Okay. You see, I can go back and help people back on the projects where I grew up, but I can't live there anymore. I
Right.
can help them, but I can't live there anymore. So sometimes you're coming off the projects. So people don't want you to succeed. Don't care what anybody says. They don't want you to succeed. So when you start to succeed and you start making something yourself, these guys don't want to know you. And the guys already made something don't want to know you because you come from the project. So there's that space in between that can become very lonely. So
Mhm.
surround yourself. I don't give a shit if it's online or whatever. Get out, meet people, get on Facebook, get the apps, meet people around you, and go hiking or whatever. It's just you need to start acting like a winner. You need to start acting like a leader. And if you're listening to this podcast, man, you're not listening by mistake. You're really not. You think you are, but you are not.
Mhm.
And there's so much to be learned in life and so many things. I go back home, Adriana, 2 or 3 times a year. And I see my friends back there in the same old bars, saying the same old shit, complaining about the wife. If you go on, guys, to your partner, and most times you're arguing, you need a new partner. If you're counting the, hump days and TGI Friday, you need another job. And the first thing I'll tell me, well, it's not that easy. It fucking really is that easy. It
Right.
really, why are you doing that? Stop it.
Right.
Stop it. Living that flipping lie of covering up who you really are is a crime, man. It's a crime. Shame on you. And I don't mean this demoralizing or looking down on people. I'm saying you I don't want you to do as good as me, guys. I want you to do fucking better than me. Okay. And I will help you do that. All right. I will help you do that. So two things. First of all, there's a book out there called Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. It's me and my daughter. It's the last thing my daughter said to me when the authorities took them off me. She said three things walking down the path with Mommy. I have been in a stupor for 2 or 3 days. They weren't changed diapers or fed, nearly killed them. He said three things. Daddy, Daddy, please don't go. Daddy, Daddy, please get better. The last thing she said to me was, Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking. Don't go and buy it on Amazon. Come find me. I'll sign it personally. I'll pay for the mailing and all that shit. It won't cost you anything, first of all. Second thing I want to say, the Robb Kelly Foundation.org. Only thing I ask you, if you can afford $1, bang it in there, guys. And we're different to any other foundation is when, say you give $10, we give it to somebody else and that puts it towards buying a suit. You'll get an email off that guy thanking you for your $10. Yeah. And the last thing I want to say, if you're out there in that place Adriana and myself just spoke about, that lonely place of nowhere else to go, you want to commit suicide, all this stuff going on, I want you to text me, not my staff. I want you to text me personally on 214-600-0210. It's very important that you text me if you're going through that, and this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to arrange a 20-minute free of charge chat with me, and within that 20 minutes, I'm going to change your life. I'll give you a pep talk that'll change your life. And if it doesn't, I'll send you $100. That's how confident we are, because we never know what people are going through that we pass. It's really important to smile. The story of the guy walking to the Golden Gate Bridge, he threw himself off and committed suicide, is horrible. But let me tell you what really happened. When the police pulled him out of the water, they found his ID. They went back to the apartment, looking around for next of kin, obviously. But they found a letter on the table. True story. The letter read, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge and commit suicide by throwing myself off. Unless, on the way, somebody smiles or says good morning or waves. In that case, I will stop, turn around, and I'll try again. My last question for you guys. How many people have you walked past today who's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge?
Right. Ooh. Wow. That's powerful. I love it. I absolutely love it. Truly believe in it. Just a simple hello is everything, right? Simple kindness in the world goes so far. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Robb, for coming on here and talking with us. I appreciate it so much of just coming on here and just going through these things. Everything that you do, I wholeheartedly believe in, you guys. So definitely want them to go check you out. Go to his website, go check out the podcast. I was kind of watching a little bit of it. So I think it'll be awesome, you guys. Definitely, this is a game changer. So if you're listening, it's time. I definitely feel that.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you for having me on.
All right, you guys, until next time, bye.